Hey everybody, and welcome back to the extra live stream. Now we have our interview with Balanced Media Technology. It is our partner for the stream and also a game development company. Now guys, could you go ahead and introduce yourselves for us?
I'm the CEO of Balanced Media Technology. My name is Robert Atkins.
I'm Corey Clark. I'm the CTO of Balanced Media Technology, but you saw me earlier. I'm also a professor here at SMU Guildhall.
Thanks guys. So Robert, tell us about the mission for Balanced Media Technology.
Yeah, so there are 2.6 billion people playing games worldwide, and we're having a lot of fun doing it, right? And there's even more people streaming and watching people play games. What if all those people could also contribute to really meaningful, cool stuff, like helping find cures to disease? Well, guess
cool,
what? That's what Balance has created. We've created a technology that while you watch and play Minecraft, or while you play any game, any Unreal Engine game, any Unity game, suddenly you're contributing to these meaningful causes, like finding cures to cancer.
That's fantastic. So it sounds like you've differed a little bit from the traditional game development model. Could you tell us about how you've differed and a little bit more insight on that?
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
Yeah. So we're still content creators, right?
Yeah.
We're building tools that allow developers who are just creating the games that people love, and they're just fun games. They're not necessarily focused on citizen science. They can simply be a Minecraft. They can simply be a first-person shooter. But the technology lies underneath that gameplay experience, and so while the player is just turning a red block green in Minecraft, or even shooting a monster in the face with a weapon, suddenly our technology allows those actions to be captured and create these really cool machine learning models that actually refine pipelines and discovery of research. And so the players can now become part of this pipeline and their decisions actually really can become meaningful. So every minute you're playing game, instead of just escaping reality with video games, you can create a better reality with video games.
I like that message at the end. You're making a better reality instead of just escaping reality too. You're doing both at the same time. That's fantastic. So why does a company like Balance need to exist in this market because of that specific mention?
So because gaming can do more. Games can be more. And the power of gaming, how big it is, it's the largest entertainment market. It's that we can take that power and actually harness it to have impact and change in the world. And the big thing is that we're not trying to make games that are science games. We're trying to make entertainment style games that you already see. And that's a big part of what our technology does. It's not limited to games that we create. It can be integrated into any game that uses these engines that we were talking about. And games by themselves are naturally educational. There's naturally puzzles in them. There's, you're trying to figure them out. If there wasn't that challenge in a game, it wouldn't be fun. So our big piece is just connecting into what's already there, those communities that are already there, and we're taking that advantage of that to actually have impact in the world. And it's time that something like this happens.
That's fantastic. And you actually started breaking into my next question. How does the data science and the research get involved in Balance, and how do y'all address those industries with your games?
So currently we're doing stuff with cancer research, and that's the Wily Wizard game that's there. And that same game, that same concept is already in Minecraft. We're doing stuff with macular degeneration, so eye disease, image analysis, data analysis. And as we start moving forward, you hear so much about machine learning. Machine learning and AI is a big piece of that. So it's not really just about the machines, it's about getting the machines and the humans working together, which is what this platform does. It really allows us to combine those. So we can go after and hit any large problem. So when we start talking about what diseases are out there, whether it's Parkinson's, cancer, whatever it is, we can attack that, and we can attack it with games.
That's awesome. And you have your human platform as well. So you've mentioned all these diseases and these causes. How does the human platform connect a game like the 8-Cell or Wily Wizard or Eye in the Sky to these causes?
Great question. So right now, 8-Cell specifically is reverse engineering the gene regulatory network. So it's the golden, the holy grail of medicine, to be able to make medicine personalized for an individual, to know exactly what's wrong with your body, and to find a pill and custom make a pill that will help that. Awesome. And that's connected into the gameplay. So like in Eye in the Sky, whenever you're actually drawing those paths, you're actually helping us analyze those imageries. And it's not just you're finding the answer, you're just giving us insight. And then that insight is combined with the machine learning model, and we have this hybrid model now that takes the best of machines and the best of humans and puts them together.
Wow, what a way to incorporate technology into our world in a positive way. Yeah,
Absolutely.
So we mentioned the 8-cell. We're actually going to be playing the 8-cell a little bit later, but could you go ahead and give us a backstory on the 8-cell?
So I've been very fortunate to work on a lot of big games.
Awesome.
Back in '96, I was one of 5 people who got to work on Duke Nukem, the original Duke Nukem 3D, and Quake. We left and formed a company that worked on a Quake add-on pack. We're traditional gamers, and like a lot of developers in my cohort and that are even out there right now, we continually push technology, continue to integrate new technologies throughout the entire last 30 years. Everything from physics engines to 3D rendering to multiplayer, now streaming is a massive piece of that. And so what we're doing with our technology is we allow really meaningful things to take place. When I met Carl Lapperouse 6 years ago now, he's one of our partners, he had this idea to make Halo in the body, where you could go inside the body and you could fight cancer and you could fight disease, and you could really educate people what was happening inside of them. And we know that games could educate. Dr. Clark is up for an X Prize for adult literacy using games through the research he's done here at SMU. So education's a big piece of that. And because if you can understand what's happening inside of you, then suddenly, maybe you make better decisions, or maybe you can have conversations. Or when we put our game, like really complex subject matter, I sucked at biology. I was terrible. I would just put C on every line. Yep. So I just would guess. And so it's a really complex subject, but if you can put it in a game format, suddenly it's not that complex. It's like, complex terms and actions and things, but it makes it a lot of fun. And when we put it in front of kids who are like 10 years old, they're repeating back college level microbiology. So we know games can do crazy, cool, fun stuff beyond just entertainment. And when you lay in the technology that Dr. Clark developed, now you have a way to actually make impact as well in the world. So the decisions of the gamer, so literally they're playing a game where they're learning about cancer, they're fighting cancer, and suddenly they can also, their decisions in the game could actually be creating machine learning models that actually aid in the research of cancer.
Wow.
It's the full enchilada. And that's exactly what we've created with the 8-cell.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, there's already so many educational connections between games, certain games more than others, but you just took it another step with adding that machine learning on the inside to provide that additional level of research and technology, and you're pushing the boundaries. Sounds amazing. So as for the idea of the 8-cell, how did that come about? Where did that come from?
Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, our business partner Carl Lapperouse had an idea to build an IP where you could teach people what was happening in the body. He swore he would never let his kids play video games, but when they were like 9 and 11, he had this aha moment where he's like, I'm gonna let my kids play video games, and I'm gonna test them in 3 months. So you put them on, like, he took the violence off and he put them on like Call of Duty, and he put them on Halo, and he let them play for 3 months, and he watched them do it, and he became a gamer himself.
Wow.
And he asked his kids all the questions, like, what's the history? What does this weapon do? What's the backstory of these? And I've listened to his kids talk about the games they play. They know every single thing there is to know about these games. I mean, they're repeating back, no offense to our industry, useless knowledge, because it's just made up, right? But if you could do the same kind of thing, but it's grounded in the reality of science and biology and physics, suddenly you have a fun, entertaining product. At the same time, because it's grounded in the science, you have a knowledge base that they're learning. With the 8-cell, when this thing is out there fully released, kids who are 10 years old are going to be teaching their teachers biology. We met Jimmy through an amazing organization called Make-A-Wish, and Jimmy was a Wish kid, and he had terminal brain cancer, and his wish was to be able to go in and create a game where he could kill cancer. And he didn't know that we were making this game, and his wish was going to be granted through another amazing organization, game company called Playful. So Playful invited us over, Paul Bentner and some of their team invited us over to surprise Jimmy with the game. Wow. And he got to play the 8-cell for the first time. And so he is the perfect example of what we're trying to do. We're trying to make positive impact in the world using games. And in this case, not only are you learning about like what's happening in your body, but in his case, he was actually able to visualize his fight against cancer.
That's
And
great.
in a format of playing the game, he's actually able to take the power and be empowered by that. He's shooting the cancer. He feels like he has control. He's understanding what's happening more. And when we talk, everything in the game is grounded in the real science. We work with researchers and doctors, pediatric oncologists, and so the game is grounded, even though it looks like just like a video game that's in some kind of sci-fi world, it's actually all
based on real biology, right?
Based on the real biology. It's just in a genetically engineered being called Jeb, and so we get to play around in the body. So Jimmy is now being able to understand, and what a lot of that does is it helps improve compliance. You know, if you understand why it's important to take your medicine or why it's important to follow through with your treatment, it's just another tool that doctors and hospitals need to continue to improve the outcomes of their patients.
That's great. And in fact, we heard yesterday in our interview with Children's Miracle Network and Extra Life that they have virtual reality in the hospitals helping kids fix their balance or various things like that. Gaming is getting increasingly intertwined with health and medical research and everything like that. Gaming is just making it better for everyone.
Yeah, so Jimmy's going. He's basically his consciousness is transported into nanoscale or nanotechnology, and so he's in a little suit, and he has little friends like Alpha who fly around and help him explore the world. And so you're able to go around and scan things and be able to learn all immersively. You know, it's not an education game, but education happens because it's humans. The way we learn in human nature to learn is through immersion. We're in our home. We learn about water, where the water is in our house, for example.
Yeah.
So when you're learning about B cells, those blue cells that are there, that's actually the thing that brings nutrients to your body. So you're able to collect those, and when you run over them, you're picking them up. So everything's kind of in the context of, and there Jimmy's scanning for. He's pulling the antigen, or
the white blood cells, the lymphocytes.
Yeah, exactly. So he wants to create an antigen. That antigen is what he can use later to use the immune system. So everything's grounded in the reality of our anatomy.
And it's inherent learning, right? Like to Jimmy, he's just gathering a resource in order to be able to fight back, but it's also teaching him how the B cells and the lymphocytes work at the same time in the body. So he's getting an inherent biology lesson by also just playing a game and having fun.
That's right.
That's right. In fact, in this game, he actually goes through to create compounds that are using kind of the state of the art in cancer fighting and treatments. And so he's going to actually
it's also
use
cutting edge.
Right. Build the antigens to attract the T cells to the cancer and to kill it. And what's nice about this is, like, while he's doing this right now, it's actually has the ability to take portions of the CPU usage, and we're actually in the background actually working on real science and real data.
And that's through the human platform.
Right.
There's idle computing power that's always being contributed whenever you're logged into the human platform.
That's right.
That's right. And it doesn't, you don't even have to play the 8-cell. Right now, you could download the human platform, and I encourage people to do that. You can go to human.io or human.com or bmt.world, and you can download this right now, and you can start contributing to meaningful causes like cancer research.
That's great.
And our researchers we work with are out of SMU. They're doing amazing research out of Dr. Pia Vogel and Dr. John Wise. And the work that they're doing, we bring processing power and we bring human insight through video games to them. So we are, a lot of this amazing work that's being done was started here at SMU in the Guildhall. And so it's just another example of why this university is a leader in the space of educating the future and creating the next generation of the greatest developers.
So we've got some action going on right now. Can you tell us what's going on the screen?
So these are killer T cells right here, and so right now they're not quite sure if he's a threat or not. And then what Jimmy's going to end up doing is creating the antigen, and then the killer T cells will actually turn on the cancer. So this is where you're using the immune response of the body to fight the cancer itself.
Interesting, and that's how it's done in the real world
too.
This
is one of the new kind of cutting edge treatments, is that they use this, and then if you can get that antigen on the cancer, then the killer T cells see it as a threat, and they will come and attack and kill the cancer.
That's great.
And so that's what this is actually learning. And so, right now he's running around collecting resources. And you'll actually notice how the bone actually starts to look different, because as cancer grows, it grows faster, and so it gets sharper. Yeah. And you actually see that in the game as you move through the level. It actually starts to change the look, and as you do that, it's because you're moving from healthy areas to areas that are being attacked with cancer. The other piece that's working is that right now, it's the idle CPU is something, but then also decisions that are made in the game, just like in Wily Wizard and Eye in the Sky, that actual insight of how you build your character, how you optimize, how you build the medications, that's actually connected to real data too. Sweet. And then that's the piece that we also pull back to combine with the machine learning.
Yeah. So he's blasting things that aren't supposed to be there. So we went to a Healthy Games conference. I went with my partner, Dr. Carl Laprousse, a few years ago, and there was a great organization called Hope Lab who had done research and using video games to put into hospitals to try to help create treatment and understanding and reinforcement with kids. And they surveyed the children and they asked them, like, if in a video game, what would you do to cancer if you could? And they were like, I want to blast it, I want to vaporize it, I want to blow it up, I want to make it squirm, I want to make it pay. And these just happens to be kind of things that you can do in the video games. You can blast something in a video game, right? And what does that do when you talk to child psychologists and stuff? They're saying you're latching onto something really powerful, and that is empowering people to take on the thing that they feel attacked by or weakened by. So if someone's feeling that they're, especially I can only imagine, but if all we're doing is bringing another tool that we can help them like take some power back and feel some control over the situation that they're in, which is completely abnormal to have cancer as a child, then it's another way that we can help with their treatment. And so the game is, we really believe that the game will become a treatment or a tool in treatment, and so that we can help the doctors and the real heroes, the researchers, and these young people who are out there facing these diseases, giving them something that they can relate to in a video game. And so now they have this thing in a way that they can reinforce positive behaviors, reinforce and take back and hopefully have less fear in the process.
Yeah, that's great stuff. And one thing that you mentioned that I want to point out is you were kind of referring to the mental state of the people affected with cancer and how they want to really like blast and destroy and get rid of the cancer. That creates a mental state for them in which they feel empowered to be able to fight back. And just by thinking that they can fight back, their body actually does fight back.
That's right. That's right. Mental health is a big part of that, right? And that's how I like to describe it, because I played sports when I was a kid. And you hear about modern day way they train athletes is they don't have them shoot 1,000 hoops in the basket. They actually have them sit for a few hours thinking about the ball going in the basket, thinking about winning the game, thinking about making the perfect shot or following through with the play. And that's really what games do a great job of, is we have repetitive actions within the game that is training the player to do a certain gameplay loop. And that gameplay loop is conditioning them for a win state. Yeah.
And for our audience that doesn't know what a gameplay loop is, could you go ahead and expand on that and perhaps explain the gameplay loop for the 8-cell?
So great question. So the gameplay loop for the 8-cell is you're gathering resources. So and in the case with the science, you're pulling a data set. And you analyze that, so you'll see the little drone sometimes analyzing part of the environment. So you're comparing the data set. You're building. In the case of the 8-cell, you're building your weapons. You're creating your weapons. You're crafting your weapons. And then when you're shooting the weapons at a cancer, you're testing it. So these are all, not only is it the gameplay loop, it's also the science loop that's happening in the background. So we've overlapped the two. And so when you test it, what happens is you get a feedback, you get the score, like now my score says I'm doing this or that. So now that is actually sent up to our machine learning models. And now the players actually, not only in going through that gameplay loop, they're actually helping train the machine learning with the algorithm loop. But
nice.
I'm sure Corey could explain that a little better than I did, but so the gameplay loop in this case is exactly what I said, and what that does is that creates a win situation or a scenario for the player to win, and the winning in this case is to kill the cancer.
Sure. Can you explain a little bit more about what's going on right here? It looks like we found a friend for Alpha.
Yeah, so in this world, in the full game, it's one of 8-player co-op. Right now, this is a single-player mission. But you have other nanotechnology like Alpha that have gone out and explored, and you can build these guys, and you can send them out to help you gather resources, to help you monitor areas, and in this case that drone was killed by are decommissioned by these cancer nodes or these cancer
these little spider bots, if you will.
Yeah.
So those are malignous, right?
Yeah.
And so when cancer spreads, it becomes malignant.
Yeah, it's
right?
the malignant cancer.
So
exactly,
this is the visualizations. This is the stylized version of cancer spreading in the body.
Okay.
So those malignants are going around and they're creating the cancer pods that you're seeing on the screen, which is the cancer then growing.
Yeah.
So right here, what he's doing is he's fighting the malignants to stop the spread and then killing all of their eggs, which is the actual cancer growth on the walls.
Yeah, and that makes sense with biology too, because the only way that the cancer can keep spreading is if it has a way to spread. If you're able to kill it at its source, then it can't spread anymore.
That's right. And so that's what he's doing right now. Is killing all of the parts of spreading, and he's working his way back down to the core of where it's at, which is where he'll then attack it.
The tumor itself. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, and we intentionally chose leukemia as a scenario, as a setting in the bone for the 8 cell when we built this demo. And this is just a prototype, and we built this with a small team. A lot of we hired and brought on graduate students from the Guildhall, and so they did an amazing job to be able to come in, and that was, a lot of the stuff that we do at our company at Balanced Media is we're pioneering we're pioneering a new game. Like no one's ever done a game where you go inside the body and at this level we want to put it in hospitals. So we're pioneering what that looks like.
And speaking of that, this is the first live gameplay demo of the 8 cell ever.
Yeah.
To my knowledge, yeah.
That's right. And we're really happy that Jimmy can come here today and demo that. So those are and that really means a lot to us as a studio.
Mm-hmm.
And those are, so you can see, healthy area out there. We call it the Vista. And you just continue to run around and shoot these guys and work your way to their source of where they're spawning from.
And I'm noticing some interesting gameplay going on right now. Jimmy is jumping around and being able to aim and jump over these malignant pieces of cancer that are trying to spread. You also got interesting graphics going on, like the screen cracking, the damage input. You can see that it works actually like a shooting game would work, but you're also learning at the same time.
Yeah, and so we've done a lot of balancing. This is our first proof of concept that we built. We have other areas in the body where we get to go, like lungs and things. And so what we found was about 30% action, 70% or 60% adventure, and 10% puzzle solving was kind of where we're aiming for right now. But it's all about play testing. Every time we watch someone play the game, we're like analyzing. Okay,
thinking of new ways.
Like this is like I never would have thought to do some of the stuff Jimmy's doing. It's like it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch other people play because it's like he's really jumping and getting in crevices. And it is an old school first person shooter guy. Camping was like a huge thing for us. So to me, it's Jason, our lead designer on the project, who's sitting next to Jimmy right now. He's a big fan of the double jump and really kind of adding those platformer
increases
elements.
The maneuverability.
It just makes it fun, right? We're just we want the game it's got to be a game while it's grounded in all this cool science and it does all these amazing things. At the end of the day, it has to be fun first, and it has to be something that community wants to play, and that's really what we're bringing to the equation of citizen science and using games for good.
I think he took fall damage there.
He took a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's great. Even after he kills the cancer and it all falls apart, then there's all the debris left, and then the macrophages come out, and they're what clean up the body after this. But the problem is that they don't know that you're not part of the problem. So
and the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell.
That's
right.
That's right. And that's we have a lot of we've done a lot of prototyping of different things, and the subject matter is endless. It really is. It's just absolutely it's endless.
Crazy.
We want to build the body as a universe for a decade now. I mean, we could build for a decade in different things, and there's so many areas that we want to explore beyond just fighting cancer. Yeah,
you almost have to determine the level of the extent to which you go into this, because the content, like you said, is endless. It's about how accurate you want to be, and then determining at which point you're like, this is accurate enough, this is how we want to spread it out throughout the entire game. And create like different regions that you can explore within the body. Maybe those are different chapters of the game. Or
that's right. Like that. Yeah. So episodic content would definitely be the way we'd want to do it. We're talking to hospitals right now, St. Jude affiliates, and one of our other partners at LSU Health Center. So putting the game in front of other young people who are facing cancer and different disease to help reinforce their treatment, help them have a new tool. And so putting it in hospitals is really important to us. In 2019, we want to really push toward releasing the game there, and then publicly for others, and even in schools. So while the game is mass market and we're building the game not just for kids, we want to, we really want to start making a healthy impact as quickly as possible, so that we can see results. And with the fact that we have a researching arm with Dr. Clark, there's actually, so now what he did was he created an antigen and he sprayed it on the cancer, and he called in the body's immune system, which are killer T cells, and they actually are what's killing the cancer. And so it's reinforcing that if you are doing the right things in your body with the treatment that you're receiving, you can actually beat the cancer that's trying to kill you.
That was awesome, and a great visual to end it off with, the cutscene. So is this the end of the game? Is this the end of the demo for now?
There's more, but that's the end of the demo for right now. Yeah.
Okay, so we've got more coming. We will take a short break, and afterwards Jimmy will actually come and join us on the couch, and we can talk to him about playing the game, being a beta tester for the game, and how his Make-A-Wish was able to help him fight cancer. So we'll be back shortly. Thank you.